Welcome, welcome, and thank you for being here. Tonight feels special. You showed up. You made it. And honestly, that deserves recognition, because just surviving this weekend felt like an achievement. As you probably know, the United States was slammed by a historic winter storm, one of those storms that doesn't just lower temperatures, it humiliates them. Records were broken. Pipes were frozen. Entire cities disappeared under layers of snow so thick it looked like the country had been tucked in by an angry ghost. It was brutal. Absolutely brutal. In New York City alone, the weather went from, "Oh, this is kind of pretty," to, "Why did I choose to live here?" in about 2 seconds. Streets turned into slush rivers. Sidewalks became ice traps. The whole city pulled an avocado, perfect on the outside, brown and broken underneath. It was so cold that fashion stopped mattering. People weren't dressing for style anymore. They were dressing for survival. It was the kind of cold that makes you question science, God, and your thermostat settings all at once. Honestly, it was so cold that even jokes started shrinking. It was so cold that belly buttons across the city made a life choice and switched sides. So cold that political comparisons started getting smaller. So cold that even hearts needed warming in unusual ways. And in the middle of all this chaos, New York's mayor stepped up, not with policy, not with press releases, but with jokes. Because sometimes, when the weather is this bad, all you can do is laugh and tell people to stay inside. The city froze so hard that even the subway gave up. Think about that for a second. The New York City subway, the thing that runs during floods, blackouts and apocalypses, looked at this storm and said, "Nope. I'm done." And honestly, fair. As the storm continued to tear across the country, millions of people were stranded, especially at airports. Flights were cancelled everywhere. Terminals filled with frustrated travelers sleeping on floors, guarding pretzels like treasure, refreshing flight apps every 10 seconds like it would magically change something. Airlines, of course, tried to reassure everyone. Delta released a calm, professional message reminding passengers that safety was their top priority and thanking them for their patience. United followed up with a promise to get people to their destinations as soon as it was safe to fly again. And then, Spirit Airlines spoke. Their message felt less like customer service and more like a deleted scene from Top Gun. It was chaotic. It was aggressive. It felt like someone grabbed a megaphone and yelled, "We're doing our best, good luck," before an explosion went off in the background. Somewhere between cancelled flights and frostbite, sports fans got unexpected news. Against all odds, the Super Bowl matchup was officially set. The Seattle Seahawks versus the New England Patriots. Seattle versus Boston. Starbucks versus Dunkin'. Wet cold versus angry cold. A clash of cultures, climates, and breakfast sandwiches. The game would feature 2 quarterbacks, Sam Darnold for Seattle and Drake May for New England. Sam and Drake. A Super Bowl that somehow sounded like a Disney Channel original movie. Last year, it was Kendrick. This year, it's Drake. And that joke almost landed. Almost. It hovered in the air, then quietly crashed. But that's late-night comedy. Sometimes you stick the landing. Sometimes the plane just stops short. Meanwhile, more headlines rolled in. Former President Trump announced that he would not be attending the Super Bowl this year because it was simply too far away. Too far. Which is interesting, because the NFL reportedly responded by saying, "If you stay home, we'll give you the football instead." And according to Trump, that deal was tremendous. He took it. He loved it. He couldn't believe how amazing it was. Apparently, the Super Bowl was just a little too much commitment. Much like sitting still for 3 hours, or attending meetings across the Oval Office. And speaking of international relationships, things weren't exactly warming up with Canada either. Trump revoked an invitation for Canada to join his new Board of Accord after their Prime Minister criticized the U.S. So far, the Board of Accord was doing great, by immediately falling apart. And finally, in one of the most relatable stories of the week, Lowe's announced a new initiative to attract younger shoppers. Meanwhile, Home Depot quietly continued being the place where you attach an AirTag to your dad and let him wander the aisles for 3 hours, touching tools he has no intention of buying. Through snowstorms, cancelled flights, political chaos, and frozen cities, the country survived another week. Cold, tired, slightly unhinged, but still standing. And somehow, through it all, we kept laughing. Because when everything freezes, jokes are sometimes the only thing that still moves.